Hello, skill setters. This is Mitch reaching you from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And today we're going to be doing a Victory Lap live interview with Robert Collins. Robert Collins is an active investor in the Douglasville area, I believe, or the Douglas County area. And he's going to talk about this deal that he just recently did. And we're going to try our best to take questions on Facebook Live. So if you have any questions as I'm talking, go ahead and type them in, and Karina will relay those up to us, and we'll try to get them answered. So without any further ado, Robert Collins, welcome to Victory Lap. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. I'm excited to talk about you. You and I have been talking for, I don't know, a couple of years, maybe at least a year, possibly longer. And I know that you've been actively looking at deals and analyzing deals and working real hard. So I just want to remind people that the purpose of the Victory Lap is to put in front of all of us investors who are getting it done, who are going out, doing deals, succeeding at what we're all trying to accomplish, so that those of you here in the group can ask your questions, can get inspired, and can see that this is not impossible. You don't have to be superhuman to get this thing done, although you have to have some skills and develop your skill set. So just to remind you all, we're going to do this in 3 phases. The first phase, we're going to talk about if this is a Victory Lab, we're talking about the pre-race phase, which you have to do before the car hits the track, all the prep that needs to go into the design and the training and so forth. So Robert, I want to, let me just make sure I understand the specifics. Is this your first deal?
Yes, this is my first actual deal that I actually closed on, yes. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay, so congratulations, obviously, for that. Tell me about, because people like to talk about the end result. They show the copies of the check,
Mm-hmm.
videos, and they show the champagne and so forth. Tell me a little bit about what you had to do before you could get to that first deal and that first closing. What kind of preparation did you need to engage in to get ready for that?
Well, I spent probably the last 2 years, I say, starting around December 2018. Yeah, around December or Thanksgiving 2018, I started from that point just learning how to analyze deals. So I used to practice, even like I would get on Zillow and all those other things, and I would just like practice doing the numbers by hand first. And then probably a year, maybe some months later, probably 6 months later, I actually got a pro membership, and I just started doing it on bigger pockets as far as using the calculator. And I still do it by hand too, just to stay sharp. But yeah, that's what I started doing. I started just analyzing deals, trying to figure out what a good deal would look like, what's a bad deal, what I would have to buy this particular property for to make it a good deal. Because it's all about the numbers, that's really it comes down to the numbers.
Absolutely. And I just want to point out something that you said. You did some analysis by hand on Zillow and other resources. What did it cost you in money before the Bigger Pockets Pro membership? What did it cost you to do that analysis? How much money did you have to spend to do that analysis?
Come out when I was doing in the beginning, I didn't spend anything. Just getting some notebook and a paper and a pencil or pen. That's all I needed. And so, of course, yep.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, I was saying because like Zillow and all that stuff, like the MLS thing is pretty much free. So like all you need is to figure out, what the house is going for. You can start learning about everything you need, like your numbers, like your taxes, your insurance, the cost you have to give a property manager to manage it, all that stuff. Or if you're flipping it, how much you have to pay out to a realtor, closing costs, and taxes, all that stuff. So that's free. You just need to just know your inputs and the numbers, and that's pretty much it.
So it's fair to say that nobody can complain that they can't get the ball rolling because they don't have enough money to get started. If analysis is all you need to do, and analysis is online access and pencil and paper and the formulas, then is it safe to say that anybody could start from where you did without any money at all?
Oh yes, definitely. Because as long as you have a deal, you're going to be able to find the money. That's one thing I learned also. Once you have a deal, you can get the money. Like that's if you got a deal, you're gonna find a buyer. Because like most investors, if they see a deal, they will get you the money. If you actually have a real deal. Correct.
So I'm glad you said that, and I will stress that I did not prompt you to say that. There's no script that you're reading from. I've said the same thing, and it is the case, unfortunately, that a lot of people don't believe that's to be the issue. They think that they have to go out and save up $100,000 before they can get started investing, and you have just demonstrated that it costs you nothing to get started. You just need to have the drive and determination to run the numbers. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea to run those analyses by other people just to get some feedback to make sure that you're doing it right. But once you know that you're doing it right, it's just about practice. It's about doing it over and over and over again so that you get good at it.
Right. Okay. Exactly. And that's so I did. That's exactly what I did. I used to do the numbers, and then I would, because when you're on bigger pockets, they give you. I don't know if they still do it, but I know once you get, I think you can use the calculator a couple times for free. And I would send it out and be like, "Hey, is this a good deal?" And someone would say, "Oh, your insurance is too low. Your tax number is too low. Something's too low." So then you can start seeing that a couple of times, and then you kind of start adjusting from there, and you kind of play with it a little bit. Just kind of see where you're at with it.
Awesome. So you did that. Did you do that for the purposes of gaining confidence? Or was it, in other words, you did the analysis. At what point did you decide, okay, I've analyzed enough deals. I think I understand what a good deal looks like. How long did it take you to get to that point?
I used to do it every day until I got confident. That's what it was, confidence. I just do it like every day, a couple times. Like that was and I used to get excited about doing it because in my mind, I'm a visual person. So I'm like, I know I'm not going to go out and buy anything just yet, because at that time I wanted to get good at like knowing what I'm getting myself into as far as knowing the deal. And then once it got to the point where we actually started like looking at things to buy, it's like, okay, now it's time to like start doing deals, actually doing that stuff I just did, putting it to work, and actually using it in order to like let the seller know that you kind of like let the seller know that, hey, you may be asking too much for this deal, or like try to it kind of helps with your offer, because like that's what it is. When I'm doing it, I can see, okay, only way we can get this deal if we come at this number. So let's offer this. Let's start here. So that's kind of how it started,
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so you run your numbers, you get comfortable running them, you get comfortable understanding what a deal looks like, and then you find this deal. So let's talk about the second phase of this, is the deal your very first deal that you got closed. I assume it was a wholesale transaction. Is that true?
No, no. This deal was a deal that was on the MLS forever, and I went to see it. This deal was outside of Atlanta. It was in Augusta.
Okay.
Right. It was on MLS forever. It was like it was one of those houses that was like, I wonder why no one's got it yet. It was one of those situations. So it was like one of the first houses we drove by and looked, actually seen. We used to do that. Me and my wife used to go on weekends, go to like Columbus or go to Augusta or these different places in Georgia, trying to find areas that we might want to invest in, because Atlanta had got kind of to the point where it's a little expensive. So it was like, okay, let's go here this weekend. So we'll go here. And we drove past this one house, and I was like, well, this house looks decent. It looks like, what's the catch? Because there's a video of the house and all that on what you call it. So I got in contact with a realtor, and I wanted to see if he can give me some information on it. He came back to me. He said, oh, this house has title issues. That's why no one has bought it. Because because it was in contract I think it was under contract about 6 times from probably from last January to like this March. It was under contract. So I might have been like the 7th person to put it under contract.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what ended up happening with that situation.
So I assume you were able to resolve the title issues.
Yes, that was a part of my negotiation with the deal. I told them that I possibly will close on this. It got to that point where the title thing was getting ready to get resolved, and I had found that out too. Like people, it was taking so long to do, and by the time I got to it, it was like I think it had 1 or 2 weeks left. And by the 2 weeks was up, it was like it got a clean title, and that's what it was, because I had found out that only one person ever owned the house. It was one lady. She owned the house, and her husband died 15 years ago, and she moved out the house across the street with her sister, and just never put anybody else in the house. She kept the grass cut, kept the lights and water on. So I knew, okay. So I'm thinking, it can't be too much issues with this. So I did some more digging and found out like after the 2 weeks was up, they got a clean title, and I was like, all right, I'll close on it. I actually closed on it without even like ever like seeing it in person. Like I saw a video of everything, and I kind of knew it was lowered. The price was lower than everything else in the neighborhood. So I did my numbers on it. So I was like, I feel confident of doing this. I mean, it's like, it was one of those situations where it was like, I don't think, I was willing to take the risk in that particular situation.
Well, and you also, you reduced a lot of the risk because the title issue was something that you were aware of. You knew it was about to fall off. So your timing was perfect in that regard.
Yes.
And 6 people before you didn't have the persistence and the dedication that you did to time it and be in the right place at the right time. So this is a single family house?
Yes, this is a single family house, yes.
You're buying it for the purposes of renting out?
Oh yeah, I bought it for purposes of renting out.
Got it. Okay, so you said it's in Augusta, correct?
Yes, it's in Augusta, Georgia, yes.
And was the seller negotiation challenging? Was it straightforward? Did you basically just give her a price and she said yes? How hard did it work?
She was definitely, it was an older woman, and she was definitely challenging, because another thing about the other 6 that had made offers on it, like she was at that point where she had that number she wanted, and she was not trying to budge. She didn't care, and I got to the point when I did the numbers on it, I was like, well, I mean, I'm doing the numbers, and like everything else in this neighborhood is like so much more expensive than this. So I was like, okay, I can give her that what she want, as long as whatever. And I think I might have got like 15. I might have like got 1,500. I think I got $1,500 off the price. That's about it. I think I got her the budget on 1,500, but that was it, But yeah, that's kind of, so it ended up working out. But I was just, at that time, I was like, she's not budging. She wasn't entertaining anything under that number, and I don't know what. I guess at the time, by this time, the COVID thing was coming around this time too. So I guess it could have been at a time where she's like, I need to do something. Maybe I'm not sure, but she accepted it, and we went with it.
Got it. Well, that's cool. So in your case, you knew what your numbers needed to be because you had expertise with running your numbers. You were confident that your numbers were accurate, and I assume you could tell me otherwise, that you didn't compromise on your numbers just to get the deal. You knew what a good deal was. You offered so that you could get the deal that you needed, so that you're not in a bad spot now because you got the deal that you wanted. Is that fair?
Right. Okay. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I didn't compromise. Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So is it the case now that you are? I assume it required some work, or will require some work before you can put a tenant in there.
Yeah, we actually went in and we actually rehabbed the whole inside. We rehabbed the whole inside. Like I went in, I put in new appliances. We were going to refinish the hardwood floors. It was hardwood floors on the top. There's a split level. It's hardwood floors on the top. We tried to refinish them, but I made a mistake in that situation with the person that was doing it. So we ended up having to put carpet down, which ended up looking good, but it was just kind of the last minute thing. We put LVP in the basement. We painted everything. We remodeled both bathrooms. It was 2 bathrooms, and remodeled the kitchen. We painted the cabinets, and we put in new handles on the cabinet doors, and put the gray paint all through it, except for the basement. Basement we did all white, but top we did all gray, and ended up looking pretty nice, functioning for the tenants. Actually, end up getting almost $200 over market rent in that area.
Very nice. So you've already bought this thing, fixed this thing, and found a tenant for this thing.
Correct.
When did you close?
I closed probably last week of March. So it's been a while. I closed like March 28th, I believe that was the date. Okay, so you closed back in March. You did your renovations. How long did the renovations take you? The actual work probably took 3 weeks to a month, the actual physical work. But the actual getting all that done, as far as finding the right and all the right this and that, it took like 4 months. That took 4 months. Me and my wife pretty much did everything ourselves, as far as going out, trying to find contractors, trying to, get this person to do this, get this person to show up. So we went through all that, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get the experience of doing all that stuff, and that's why it took so long. But I'm sure if I probably could have easily called, maybe a property manager in the area. He probably could have linked me with someone he knows, a contractor, and gave him a contractor X amount of dollars to go do the job. He probably could have got it done in a month. It would have saved me probably 2 or 3 months. But I'd like the learning experience is what we was looking for.
Yeah, there's something to be said for the experience over and above the money that you might have saved, because now what the skill set is that you need to do that kind of renovation, and you may never choose to do that again, but at least now you know what's involved in getting it done. Right. You also have, is it safe to assume that you're going to have some, that you're going to be looking for more properties in the Augusta area?
Yes. Like I said, I'm still in the same thing where I'm looking in Augusta and I'm looking in Columbus. Those are the 2 areas that I like to target. I haven't went down to Macon yet, but Augusta and Columbus, we had made some relationships in Columbus before we went to Augusta. It just so happened a lot of those Columbus deals were people were overbidding for them, and I wasn't willing to overbid on a lot of them. Where I was in Augusta, and like I said, this situation, I was like the only one that at the time when I put in an offer, I was the only one was offering, because everybody else kind of was like running from it and had been on the market so long. So they probably thought, and it had title issues, so it probably scared a lot of people. So that's the reason why this one happened. But if the deal's right and the numbers right, definitely a buy again in Augusta, because we've already laid that foundation where we have a go-to person. We already have a property there, and we have like a go-to person for, this floors or paint or this and that and the third. So we already built relationships there. So if we go to Columbus, we have some relationships. We just haven't actually done any work with them yet. So it'll be kind of starting over if we do choose to go there. But it's one of those things. You know how it goes.
Yeah, I do. And I like the Columbus market as well. I looked into it a little bit. I don't have as much experience on the ground, but because I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico. But I like the idea that you are looking at submarkets to kind of go deep in, because that means you get to leverage all of the expertise, all the contractors, all the contacts that you build for multiple properties.
Gotcha.
And the same is going to be true for Augusta. We got a couple of questions. Somebody wants to know what was the cost of the rehab?
Cost of the rehab was 20. We budgeted. We went over budget. So the budget for the rehab was like 15 or 20. We ended up spending 25. But 25, that was 25 for everything else that we had to do. Not just the rehab, where it was 20. The whole estimated cost of everything that we ended up putting into the property was around like 25. That'll include holding cost. That include like the holding cost as far as like me paying the water bill, the power bill every month, which wasn't a lot of money, but I'm just saying I counted all that into that. So actually getting a physical rehab work, we probably was able to get all that done for about 20 to 22.
Got it. So you were over budget, but not ridiculously so. And you probably had some room in your numbers when you did the analysis, so that it didn't ruin your deal, the fact that you may have had a little bit of budget.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And then let's see. So that was Kevin's question. Jason wants to know, what is LVP?
Luxury vinyl planking floors. That's like the flooring that most investors are using now, that you may see. You may go in the house, and if you don't know no better, I wouldn't have known any better. You may think, oh, he have hardwood floors in there, but it's not hardwood. It looks like hardwood, but it's water resistant, waterproof. So it helps a lot if you get some water in the kitchen or the floor or something. It's very, very protective. It's hard for me to explain it, I guess, but that's I learned that's what a lot of investors are using, and that's what I went with. I've seen everybody using it, so that's why I used it.
Yeah, I've used it. I like it, and it makes perfect sense. And it is way cheaper than trying to install hardwoods, and a lot more resistant. That was Jason's question. So thanks for that, Jason. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah. So I want to talk. So I'll mention a couple things. I don't want to get too far off track, but I want to ask you a question about your seller. You said she was an older lady. She was already living in another house across the street, so she didn't need the proceeds of this house to fund another deal.
Right.
So let me ask you the burning question. Did you talk to her at all about what she was going to use the proceeds of the sale to do when you made her the offer?
I didn't. I never actually, like, the realtor was representing her. She moved across the street, but she wasn't living in, I guess she's gotten a lot older now, and she actually living in a home now. She living in a nursing home, I believe. So everything was going back through him, because I pretty much I guess he was the only realtor in the situation. So he pretty much got, the 6% paid on both ends. So I was running everything through him to her.
Got it. Okay. And the reason why I ask the question is because I typically encourage investors, when they're dealing directly with the seller, to always ask in as polite a way as you can, or always find out what they're planning to use the proceeds of the sale for. Because if they don't need the money immediately, then that's a perfect opportunity for you to slide in with what will be a seller financing arrangement, but I would never use those words when I'm talking to the seller.
Right.
But that's only true when you're dealing directly with the seller. In your case, you had an agent in between the two of you, and so the opportunities to do that are much less, because you're playing telephone. You're talking to the agent's talking to the seller.
Right.
Plus, there's no incentive for the agent to do financing, because they want their commissions on the purchase price.
Right. Exactly.
How much money the actual seller gets. So okay,
right.
So that's good. The second thing I wanted to ask you is, did you do this as a straight rental? In other words, did your tenant have the ability to buy it, or are they just living in it to rent?
Talking about the tenant?
Yeah.
Currently, the tenant's living in it. Tenant's living in it. I pretty much went into this trying to do. My intentions on this was to do the Brrrr method on this property. So the tenant went in, and they're just renting it right now.
Okay. I'll throw this out there, and it may not be appropriate in this particular situation, but and I think I'm not sure if you and I have talked about this before, but particularly in some place like Georgia, where it's a fast evict state, you might consider looking into lease purchase.
Right.
If you did a great renovation on the house, it sounds like you did, giving your tenant the opportunity to buy the house down the road, a year, 2, 3 down the road, typically will get you a better quality tenant, somebody who's thinking about ownership as opposed to just being a tenant and renting.
Right.
It also helps you get, frankly, top dollar rent, and you already got above market rent, so you didn't even need a lease purchase for that. But whatever you got, you could have potentially gotten even a little bit more. And the reason why I'm such a big fan of lease purchase is because my favorite part is you get to collect non-refundable earnest money up front.
Right.
That you're never going to, by definition, you're never going to have to return it. And it is better than a security deposit, because security deposit you got to get back, and there are rules about holding it. If you're giving me $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in non-refundable earnest money, you and I both know that you're never going to get that money back. I get to put that money in my pocket. And if you do decide to buy the house in a year or 2 or 3 down the road, you're going to be buying it at a set price that is going to be the maximum price I could possibly ever get for that property. And there'll be no negotiation. There'll be no inspection, because you've been living in it for the last year or 2 or 3. And there's no commission, because there's no agent involved. So it is and my general philosophy is that even if you can't get anything other than somebody just to rent it, I always like to market it for lease purchase, because if you market it for lease purchase, you just might get somebody who has some money to put down. And if you don't, you're no worse off, because you're not going to scare away people who just want to rent it.
Right. That's a great idea.
It is something worth considering.
Yeah. I was saying that's a great idea. That's something I didn't think of it until you just mentioned it, because I don't know. I guess I was just so focused on trying to do it one way, but that's a man. I've heard other people do that and be very successful in that. Like, I know a guy that's he has a lot of them. He has like a lot. Most of his properties are like that, are lease to own properties, and especially in areas like, like we were saying, like areas like that where it's kind of like you can probably find, like you said, find a better renter, better tenant, because it's like theirs. and they're going to take more care of it because they feel like this. It's kind of like when people are doing the mobile home park investing, where they only thing they own is the land, and the tenant people own the trailer, so they're they're going to take care of the trailer because it's theirs. So
yep.
That's something I'm going to like shift my focus on and really try to get into like thinking about doing that on the next couple months possibly.
Well, it sounds like you did great, and you. I mean, this is not a criticism. It's just it's an enhancement. If we're talking about the car, this is the supercharger on the car. The car works just fine. It just makes it go a little bit faster, but it is something worth considering because it doesn't hurt you in any way to market it that way. And if you don't get any response, then you're no worse off than you are right now. But if you had come across the exact same tenant you have right now, and it's not too late, by the way, you could potentially go to your tenant and say, hey, look, if you like this house, if you think you might be interested in owning something like this, I'm willing to give you the opportunity to buy it if you give me $10,000 cash up front. We'll do a purchase agreement for, that's good for 12 months. And if you can buy it anytime in the next 12 months, then I'll happily sell it to you at this price. It's still fairly early in your relationship, and you could potentially do something like that. But even if you didn't change this deal, it's something that you can carry with you for the next deal. And maybe it's another opportunity for you to increase your total net cash flow.
Right.
Because getting $5,000-$10,000 up front does incredible things for your numbers.
Exactly.
And it makes it a lot less hassle prone. So you executed pretty close to flawlessly. I mean, there were some issues here and there, but you got it done without any obstacles keeping you from finishing. You found a tenant. Let's talk briefly about that. How did you find the tenant? What was the marketing method that you used?
Well, my wife, she did most of that, but I know what she just put the property on all the rental platforms like Zillow and all the hot pads. She did all that, and what she did was she got went on Bigger Pockets and figure out some stuff about like how to manage rental property. She also it took us probably a month and probably like 5 weeks to find someone because I guess the criteria was so strict. I wouldn't say strict, but we was looking for their credit score to be a certain number. It didn't have to be like high or nothing, but it couldn't be horrible. We're looking for them to make 3 times the rent, and we were looking for them to that was something else that we were looking for. And we was looking for to have the number one thing we were looking for was the responses from the previous places they lived, and no evictions. And so that was one of the issues. Everyone had evictions except for like the person we chose and another person. Like out of everyone we looked at, I think 2 or 3 of them didn't have any evictions. So and I think one person was actually going through an eviction that we almost went with, and we actually called the person. We asked them, would they ever rent to them again? They was like, no, we're evicting them now. And when they said that, I was like, okay, yeah, I don't want to, if they can leave them when they get evicted at one place, then, so not for my first one, definitely not. So yeah.
That's so it sounds like you had a good system for finding tenants and screening out the ones that you didn't want. The other benefit of diving deeper into a specific market is that you start to build a buyer's list, because you only got one house, right? You only had one house, but if you got 3 or 4 people that qualified, only one of them can get it, and the other 4 or 5 people, or 3 or 4 people who still haven't found a place are still looking. And so if you found 3 qualified applicants and you can only put 1 in your house, that means you get 2 other people that you could potentially find another house for and put them in quickly, because you've done the hard part, which is finding somebody who can actually qualify.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Never thought about that either. But yeah, wow.
So don't let those folks go is my point. Get their email address, get their phone number. You probably already have some of this stuff, but get all that stuff, stick it in a database. MailChimp, you can get a database for free, basically, so that when you do have your next house in Augusta, you can send it to that list. And if you could get in 5 days someone to say yes and raise their hand and say, I want this house because I know you guys have great stuff, then that's a beautiful thing. And it's even more beautiful if you pitched it as lease purchase and someone said yes, and here's $10,000 for you. I want that house. I want the next house you've got. So you're able to take this, able to leverage the success you've already got because you've demonstrated that you have quality houses. They like the house. They like what you did to it renovation wise. So you get to keep selling to them until they either found something else or you found something for them and turn them into dollars.
Right.
Cool. So you have now added a cash flowing. I'm assuming that it does positively cash flow. You've done your numbers to verify that it makes money.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. So do you know off the top of your head? I'm sure you do. Are you prepared to share off the top of your head what your cash on cash return is, roughly speaking, for this house?
I don't know. I had it. I had it all on my spreadsheet on Bigger Pockets. But let me ballpark. I believe the well, I can just give you numbers if you want the numbers. Maybe someone or
if you're prepared, if you're willing to share them, I'm happy.
Oh yeah, like all the numbers. Like I can tell you that. I can say, oh yeah. So maybe because it's hard for me to do off the top of my head right now.
I got you.
Okay. Purchase price was 38. We put 25,000 in renovation. So that's about 38 plus 25. That's about 63, I think.
Yep.
The after repair value is 90, and I'm renting it, and I'm getting $10.50 a month for rent. So I got 63,000 all in, and it's making $10.50 a month in rent currently.
Yeah, that's a nice deal. And I'm assuming that that taxes and insurance are not ridiculous.
The taxes on the property is I already had to pay them last month. It was like $958 for the year. And insurance, the insurance is probably going to go up because when I had insurance, but I had the insurance just set for the 38. So now I have to go redo it since I rehabbed it, which my wife might have already done. And it's probably going to go up from $20 a month to probably $45 a month.
Okay, but either way, you've got it looks like 27,000 in equity, and on a $63,000 all in, you're getting 1,000 and change in rent. So you're doing pretty darn good cash flow wise and cash on cash return wise. So that I would call definitely a home run deal. So first of all, congratulations. That's huge. That's awesome. So now you've got a little money machine that each month cranks out cash flow for you to just collect.
Yes.
Now did your numbers include, and I'm guessing they did, but did your numbers include management even though you're doing it yourself?
Yes. Yes, it includes management. Like when I broke it all the way down. So if we was to pay someone to manage, I assume it would be about, I know most managers do about 10%.
Yep.
So 10, so you would take out I think $105 a month or something like that. I think it's $105 a month will go to the manager, which would be my wife. Yeah. So yeah.
Cool.
That's so because I figured that would be because I heard once you get a certain amount of property, sometimes you can, if you're dealing with a management company, you can probably get a little discount than what you normally would pay.
Yeah. So you can with volume, you can certainly negotiate a better deal. But I'm impressed that you did pretty much everything that I could think of right, very right, and more impressed that you, even if you chose to do the management yourself, you recognize that it is an expense that you're going to have to incur, whether you do it yourself or you pay somebody to do it.
Exactly.
But at some point, you could sit back and relax, let somebody else still do it, and still get a nice return because you've already factored that cost into your numbers. So. Kudos to you for getting all that stuff right, and I would submit that's because you are experienced at running the numbers, and so you did not make that mistake. So I am very much impressed. I do want to talk about what's next for you. You've got now one solid cash flow deal under your belt. Are you looking to do more cash flow deals like this?
Yes, that's my intention. Is right now in my mind, and what I'm focusing on doing is I have I'm breaking them down into 90 day goal, year goal, 3-year goal, 5-year goal. So right now I know to my 3-year goal, I want to be able to purchase 25 units within 3 years, which is, and I want to be able to get one more before this year ends out. So that'll be 2 for this year. And I would love to go in and try to do at least 10 next year, which will make 12 altogether. And then that's the structure I have. If I go and I only do 6, well, that was 6 more than I have, you know. So that's kind of how I look at things. My whole point is having those goals and having those things in place. And then the only thing that's delaying me, or only thing I can see getting in my way, is probably the closing times, and because a lot of people are wanting to close in 45 to 60 days on a lot of stuff. So that'll drag out that point where I said finding something by the end of the year, because that could be something where I may not find nothing until next month, and then 60 days from that might be January or something. So that means it'll get past that. But other than that, my goal is to try to do 25 within the next 3 years. And my goals change, my strategies and goals change all the time. But I'm always focusing, I'm always looking, I'm always analyzing, I'm always trying to get to the next thing. So like from this interview we're doing, now I'm like going to probably tonight just look at a bunch of like ideas on doing at least to own, because I never looked into that. Heard plenty of podcasts on it, but I didn't really pay attention because I never really thought about it. But now it's something that I'm really interested in, so that may change everything up for me, possibly.
Got it. Well, let's definitely talk offline about the lease purchase stuff. I've done pretty much nothing but that for the last 20 years. And there's some tips I can suggest to you.
Okay.
Will 25 properties like this one get you completely out of the rat race?
Yes, 10 of these will actually do it. The 25 was just 10 of these actually get me out the rat race, because that 10 of these are probably, 10 of these, the gross of 10 of these would pretty much replace most of what I do in my trucking business. But just like these, but 25 will get me to that point where I can actually start like enjoying life. Probably like now, last 10 years, I pretty much just grind it. So 25 could get me to look at properties, look at homes in like Sandy Springs or stuff like that. That's where we want to live. And if you be able to get me maybe a nice car or something, it'll get me to that point. Because right now, I'm not focused on none of that stuff until I can get, something going, something running. So that's why I just chose the number 25. It sounded pretty cool, I guess.
Well, I can tell you that you are an inspiration to me and to hopefully the people who are watching this, because you have a plan for getting where you need to be, and you're executing on that plan pretty much flawlessly. And you'll learn stuff as you go along, and you'll make mistakes. But your plan may change, but
yes,
there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to get where you're headed, because you are focused on that, and all the other stuff you're letting slide to focus on the thing that's the most important thing right now.
Right.
So my hat's off to you. I will say that the Brrrr strategy requires your ability to refi. So once you have seasoned this existing deal, your intent, if you're going to be applying Brrrr, is going to be to refi out so that you can go do this again, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've learned this new thing. Well, I don't know if it's probably not new, but if I would have known this probably before about delayed financing, I probably would have did that first before I tried the Brrrr, because the Brrrr has caused me to because now I'm at the 6 months seasonal period now. But usually when you do a normal Brrrr, you got to wait this minimum of 6 months period before you can do that. Whereas they have this thing called delayed financing, where I probably could have came in and bought a more expensive home. I guess it might have worked with this, because you have to have a home that you can still finance for under $50,000 or more. So if I could go back over, I guess, or the thing I've been looking into is delayed financing, where they say you can go in and you can say you find a home that's $50,000 and it needs $25,000 worth of work, and it'll make it worth $100,000. Where you can go in, pay 50, put 25,000 on the HUD for repair costs, pay 75,000 cash, and then like 20 days later, possibly pull that 75,000 back off the 75%, because the house is now worth 100,000, and then you can take that money and and do it over again faster than the 6 months. I've just learned this, So I haven't really got to dig all the way into that, but it seems like something I may be interested in possibly, but I haven't really got to get all the way in because it kind of throws me off as you can estimate, oh, this property needs 25 worth of work, but what if it ends up needing 35? Because we always go with budget. So how does that work with the, all that stuff?
Got it. Do you have a good, reliable, I would say, money person, mortgage broker, mortgage banker, somebody that you can work with, that you like?
No, I have. Well, I have. That's what I've been working on. I don't have one that say is good or don't say they're bad. I just met them, like I just got in contact with them like 2 days ago. So that's what the main thing I've been working on building some relationships with some mortgage brokers or some mortgage guys that can I guess help me I guess help turn this vision into reality for me. Because I guess pretty much explains, because a lot of times you run into a lot, some of them may not even, well, not the brokers, but a lot of the mortgage guys that's at the banks, they haven't heard of the delayed financing stuff or the Brrrr stuff. So a lot of times they're like, well, you can't refinance, you can't do a cash out, less than a year. You got to wait 2 years on it. I'm like, well, I know people that's doing it in 6 months. So, and then, so it's hard. And then you have a lot of people now because of the COVID stuff that they don't really want to, I guess, get involved in, I guess, that right now. They're tied up. And also I'm self-employed with my trucking business. So that's another thing that comes the issue. Because I got in contact with one company, forgot their name, but everything else checks out. My credit score is good. I have enough reserves. I have mutual funds. I have a lot of things, but the one thing that they didn't want to I guess give me do a refinance for me is because I have too many deductions on my tax return from last year. And last year I had an employee, so I had a subcontractor. So a lot of my deductions went from maintaining that person's truck too. So that's another reason why the taxes for 2019 are like that, because I had an extra person too. So that's one thing that got in my way. So right now I'm just looking for I guess someone that can take my situation and I guess lead me in the direction I'm trying to go right now.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to make a recommendation. I'm going to refer you to my money guy because he's. So I don't want to take a lot of time to rant about money guys, but or money people. I'm not trying to imply that women can't be good money people. In my case, it's a guy, and that is a lot of. It's like anything else. A lot of folks who do that job are lazy and they just want to do the easy loans that don't require them to work real hard. And if it doesn't fall into their nice, neat category, they say, they throw their hands up and say, I can't do it.
Right.
I want a person who is going to dig in and tell me the ways that it can be done. And maybe this way will cost more than I want to, or maybe that way will have some, but at least give me the whole story. Don't just tell me that it can't be done because you're too lazy to go find out.
Right.
That's
exactly.
My guy. So I'm going to, when we're done with this call, I'm going to give you the name of my guy. And I've been working with him for over a decade now. And I work with him because he's good. The thing that I hate about mortgage people is, aside from some of them are lazy, is that some of them will tell you everything is great, everything is wonderful, everything is fine until the day before the closing. And then all of a sudden everything falls apart because they need something that you can't get, that nobody could get in the world. So my thing is, I'm a grown man. I'm prepared to hear the truth. Just tell me what can and can't be done, and don't blow smoke for 3 weeks and then have everything fall apart the day before closing. I'd rather you tell me up front that we can't do it than lead me down the path. So the thing I like about this guy is that if he says he can do it, he can do it. And if he says he can't do it, at least he'll tell you, well, here's what you could do to make it happen down the road, or here are your options, or here are things you should consider. So I'm happy to share him with you because he's good. I recommend him because he's the best I've found. And I've sadly gone through a bunch of mortgage people. He works for a direct lender, so he's not a middleman. He has direct access to the cash. His office actually underwrites loans and mortgages. So, and again, there's no obligation. If he can't help you, he'll tell you, and I won't be offended if he can't or if you don't use him. But you should definitely talk to him because he has the years of experience and he works with investors. So I'll share that. Well, I do want to say this to those of you who are watching, and again, I can't tell who is on the Facebook Live, but if you're watching this, you should absolutely reach out to Robert Collins. You can find him on, you're on Bigger Pockets. I know you're here in the group.
Yes.
And so people should find you. They should connect with you because you're getting it done. And if they're getting it done as well, then there's probably, you guys can probably compare notes and help each other out. And
Right.
if you're not where Robert is and you want to get there, he's in this group, which means he's open to helping other people and giving them advice and sharing resources and so forth. So take advantage of the opportunity. Here's a real life person who's getting a deal done successfully, knocking it out of the park. If you're not picking up the phone and trying to reach him or trying to connect with him on Bigger Pockets, then in my opinion, you're not serious about being successful in real estate, because he is success personified, and you should be knocking yourself over to reach out to him and connect and be part of his network. So having said that, Robert, I did want to mention just one other quick thing. It is entirely self-serving, but I'll say it anyway. You're going to come across deals while you're waiting to refinance that you may not be in a position to do yourself. Mm-hmm. If you find those deals, particularly any place in Georgia, but especially Augusta or Columbus, let us definitely talk, because I got people looking for deals in Georgia and they would have loved, and I'm glad you got this deal and got to keep it, but if you couldn't have done this deal, I got people who would have loved to do this deal and put a tenant in there and make the kind of money that you're making. So, right. And this is a wholesale transaction, but I am looking for people that and you know this, that I can JV with, because I'm in New Mexico. I mean, I can't do deals physically in Georgia myself, but I can find people who are doing deals because I got buyers. I got buyers coming out of my ears. So if you find great deals and you go, man, I'd love to do this deal, but I don't have the financing, let's definitely talk about either doing a JV and wholesaling the deal, or in some cases, possibly finding the financing. But either way, let's definitely talk. Let no good deal go undone that you come across.
Right. Right. I got you. That's definitely, yes. Cool. And I come across deals all the time. I come across deals all the time. A lot of times, I don't even dig into them if I'm like occupied into something else. I know I'm not going to do it. So that's I want to start doing it. Like someone send me something, I'm going to start like connecting you with people that send me stuff all the time. So I got you.
Well, if you run the analysis and you determine that it's an actual good deal, then let's talk, because I'm looking for JV partners, and everybody that hears this knows this. This is pretty standard. My JV structure is 50-50. You bring in this case, you bring the deal, I bring the buyer. We split the wholesale fee right down the middle, because you can't do a deal without a buyer and a seller. And so the argument about which one's more important, in my opinion, is a silly argument. Let's just split it down the middle and both get paid and move on to the next deal.
Yes.
So please keep me in mind for that. And is there anything that you want to say to the group before we sign off?
Well, like I said, anyone ever want to ask me any questions or ask me how my property is going, or I guess anything that I can help with or lead you to, especially here in Georgia, just hit me up. My name on Facebook's gonna probably be Tyrone Collins. That's my middle name. And if you're on Instagram, you can look me up at Cardu864. And that's pretty much it. And yeah, you can pretty much find me on those different formats.
Awesome. We'll put links to as many of those as they'll allow us to do in the video once this goes live on the site. Robert, thank you so much for taking the time to tell us about your success. Congratulations on the killer deal. I hope you find many, many more and get out of the rat race as quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah.
You probably already know this, but the difficulty of doing a deal that instead of being 38K was 380K and 250 in renovations is the exact same amount of work. So you're already there. You just gotta find those deals and get comfortable with those bigger numbers. But you've already done all the hard work, because it's the exact same deal.
Yes, that's right. You learn. Yeah, exactly. Learned that. Yeah, definitely
awesome.
Learned that.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And if no one has any questions, I'm just going to check real fast, make sure. If no one has any questions, then I'm going to let Robert go and get on with his evening. And I'll thank you again for being here. Karina, did I miss any questions? Are we good to go?
You are all set.
Awesome. All right. Well, then thank you all for being here for for the second victory lap. If you have done a deal and you want to do a victory lap, by all means, let us know. It, I think, is encouraging. In fact, I know it's encouraging for the other folks here to see that these are deals getting done. Robert didn't say he spent $50,000 doing a, coaching program or a mentoring program.
Right.
He did some homework, did some work, put some elbow grease into it, and found a deal. So let me know if you have any interest. And in the meantime, we will continue to put out some quality content and help us all get better and smarter.